All right. Once again, we are doing this on a Sunday, not because I had to work yesterday, but because I've been sick for the last week. And every time I get a cold, I lose my voice. So, not sure how this review is going to go. I guess we'll find out together. Yeah, that said, let's not waste any time because, well, my voice could go any minute. So, talking about Impact Wrestling from this past Thursday. Wow, this show got off to a bad start immediately. American Top Team are back again, and the very first thing they do when they walk in the door is physically assault a company employee. Something they've been doing every goddamn time they show up. So, answer me this. Why the hell is Jim Cornette still allowing them to be there? Why is he not banning them from the building? Why is he not hiring extra security to keep them out? Why is he not having them arrested for assaulting the people who work for him? Never even touched upon. Never mentioned. The writers simply did not care enough to explain any of this. And you wonder why this angle isn't working. More on that later. So our first match of the night is Braxton Sutter versus Garza Jr. Now, they haven't really touched on this a lot. The setup for this happened, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that, where Allie was attacked by by Taryn Terrell backstage, and Garza Jr. checked on her, and, Braxton got a little threatened by that, because, this is a guy who likes to take his pants off in public, and he doesn't want his girl hanging around with someone like that. So they're having a match, and Garza continues to flirt with Allie, and he takes his pants off and throws them at her, and, Braxton can't have that. And there's a spot where he continues to tease a heel turn where Garza is doing a suicide dive. Sutter jumps out of the way and leaves Allie there to get hit with it, and then Garza stops himself. Interesting spot there. Garza ultimately wins the match. Not a bad match at all. Pretty good stuff there. But Sutter is not happy post-match. And neither is Allie. She's getting a little fed up with him, and she finally stands up to him a little bit here, at least for a minute. And it's good that the angle is finally getting to the point where stuff is starting to happen, and Allie is starting to rebel against him. But it's been progressed so infrequently that the behavior of both of these people feels kind of hollow. Sutter is annoyed with Allie after he loses a match, and then we don't see them for 3 weeks. Then Sutter feels threatened when Garza Jr. checks on Allie after Taryn Terrell beat her up, and then we don't see them for 2 weeks. Then Sutter jumps out of the way of a suicide dive, leaving Allie to get hit by it until Garza stops himself, and now suddenly there's trouble in paradise. So, we've got the pieces of a story here, but not the whole picture. We should have been checking in on what these people were doing and what was going on with them every week. But for some reason we didn't. I don't know why. I guess because it would have taken too much time away from American Top Team, and God knows we can't have that now, can we? So, I like that it's getting somewhere now, but it would mean a lot more if we were seeing logical progression instead of just checking in on them like once or twice a month. So after this, we have a Grand Championship match with EC3 finally doing something with that belt, finally defending it against El Hijo del Fantasma. I'm probably butchering that, but Fantasma. How did Fantasma earn a title shot? Beats me. No idea. Pretty good match, though. The TK3 over the ropes to the floor was really cool. It was probably one of the better Grand Championship matches we've seen, even though I still wish this 3-round point system stuff would just go away. Anywho, EC3 wins a split decision after Hector Guerrero scores round 3 in his favor, to EC3's surprise. Phantasma gets pissed off about this because Hector's a AAA guy, and apparently there's no solidarity there. Because naturally, he would score the match for me because we're both Mexicans or whatever. Then suddenly Pagano shows up because apparently we still don't have enough AAA wrestlers taking up screen time away from the actual contracted talent, and they gang up on EC3 until Eddie Edwards, of all people, runs them off. Alright, first of all, isn't EC3 supposed to be a heel? I seem to recall him turning heel just recently, and now, what, we're turning him face again to accommodate some AAA guys who are probably only there part-time? What kind of sense does that make? Especially when the general consensus seemed to be that EC3's character had been much improved because of this heel turn. And what the hell is Eddie Edwards doing out there? Why does he care what happens to EC3? What do these guys have to do with each other? Are they buddies now? Did they become friends in some backstage pre-tape that got cut for time? I feel like there's a lot of missing information here. And this whole thing felt very random. And can we please not turn this into a AAA invasion angle? We're already kind of doing an invasion angle with the American Top Team crap. We don't need another one. Good match, but everything that happened afterward really did nothing for me at all. So, after this, speaking of other companies, we cut to a video package of the crash in Tijuana, where we see the tag team title match go down, and also we see clips of LAX in a strip club, because that was necessary. And Konnan decides to make the match a fatal four-way, which was odd. Seems to me like that would make the odds worse for LAX, but he already said they had the ref paid off, so I guess it doesn't matter. You know, I'm fine with the four-way because, you know, this way they're not giving away LAX OVE 2-on-2 for the tag titles in another promotion, so it solves that problem. We're still not getting to see the entire match, and I still don't see the purpose of doing this in another company in the first damn place, but at least they didn't have a stupid turned up to 11 here. And once again, I really do have to give them props for this video. The production on these things has been so slick. In a lot of ways, it's the best thing they're doing right now. And the talent look like stars in these things in a way that they just don't on the rest of the show. And I don't know if this is true, but the way I heard it, JB shot all this footage himself with drones or something. Well, shit, if that's true, then give JB free reign and bring those drones to the Impact Zone. Repurpose Vanguard 1. Matt Hardy's not using it anymore. Again, I say, if it's possible for them to produce the rest of Impact the way they produce these videos, so that the whole show looks like this, that could be a game-changing move. I'm serious. That's how good they are. So anyway, OVE are about to win, Homicide interferes because Homicide, and LAX retain. After the show, OVE get in LAX's face, but all the Crash people convince them that this is not the time. Really not a whole lot to the post-match stuff, but again, the brilliant production of the whole thing took it up like 10 notches. I mean, give credit where it's due. This business of hyping a title match only for it to take place in another company is still baffling to me. But the segment came off a hell of a lot better than it looked on paper. Still think this stuff should be happening on Impact and not in other companies, though. That's stupid. So after this, we come to, oh Christ, the Grado shit. I don't want to talk about Grado. Fuck this storyline! Fuck it! Ah! Jesus Christ. Every week, I think it can't possibly get worse. And every week, these writers prove me wrong. So now that Grado has dropped Laurel Van Ness like a bad habit the second she was of no use to him, he's got no way of getting a visa to keep himself in the country. Now, he could take Schleg Daddy's advice and marry Joseph Park to get a visa, but I guess that just didn't occur to the writers. Anyway, Grado's out of time, about to get deported. They've been saying that for weeks and weeks now, but I guess this time they really mean it. So, he gets one last segment to say goodbye to the fans, and my God, they are milking every insipid, agonizing drop. He beats a jobber in a squash match, and he gets to bask in the fans' adoration as he gives this bullshit speech about how great they are and how he's going to miss them most of all. And it's every bit as sickening as it sounds, because they're still trying to make Grado seem like a likable guy when he's really just an opportunistic piece of trash. And every fucking tourist in the Impact Zone is falling for this. God, it would have made me want to throw up if I wasn't mildly nauseous already. And after what he did to her, you'd think that this would be the perfect time for LVN to come out and really just rub it in his face that he's getting deported like he deserves because he's a giant fucking scumbag after everything he did to her. But instead, it's Joseph Park who has pulled a Deus Ex Machina out of his ass and gotten the law offices of Park and Park to sponsor his work visa so he can stay in the country. Now, loyal viewers of Impact should know what the problem with this is. Do you know what it is? I only ask because it seems like the writers didn't know. Or worse, didn't care. The problem is, there is no law office of Park and Park. This was revealed on the UK tour a couple years ago. I forget who did it exactly. I think it was Bad Influence. But what Joseph Park thought was a law office was just an old abandoned building. No one had been there in years. Park and Park was all in Joseph Park's head, a figment of his fractured psyche, which means that Grado's work visa is being sponsored by a law firm that does not exist. How can a fucking law office that is all in the mind, that it only exists in the fucking mind of Abyss, sponsor a fucking work visa? What kind of sense does that make? Continuity? What's that? Who's writing this garbage? Who the hell signed off on this? Was it Jeff Jarrett? It wouldn't surprise me considering how lazy the writing has been under his direction. But what baffles me most of all is that Chris Park, the man playing Joseph Park, the man who played Abyss, is a contributor on the creative team. You'd think that if any of these nimrods remembered that Park and Park was not an actual thing, it would have been him, right? He would have been the one to remind, like, Dutch and Scott and whoever the hell else is in there that no, they can't sponsor a work visa because they're all imaginary. It would have been Chris Park to point this out. But no, he went along with it for some reason. So, are the writers lazy? Or are they just really, really stupid? It's one or the other. Or it's both. Either way, if you writers are going to continue to insult the fans' intelligence with an angle so badly written I wouldn't wipe my ass with it, then why should we even watch it? Why should the fans care when you obviously don't? Seriously, if you're not even going to take enough pride in your work to actually plug plot holes like this before they become plot holes, why should anyone give a shit? This storyline is fucking awful. And it just keeps getting worse. Anyway, so after this, we get an X Division title match. Falls Count Anywhere, Sanjay defending against Trevor Lee. So the fight goes outside, as Falls Count Anywhere matches are wont to do sometimes. And I had mixed feelings about it because at this point it's not really an X Division match anymore. It's kind of just turns into a regular street fight. So you're not really getting an X Division match anymore. But as you could probably expect, Caleb Conley gets involved, as he's been doing, because these two, him and Trevor Lee, are aligned now. And they start double-teaming Sanjay. And you might be wondering where Petey Williams was in all this. as I was. I expected Petey Williams to get involved and help Sanjay out, like he did the last time these two were double teaming him. But no, Petey is strangely absent for some reason. I'm not sure why. It was never touched upon. The announcers didn't wonder, where's Petey? So I guess the writers just didn't care to touch on that little detail. They could have easily shown Petey taken out somewhere, like the heels, like Caleb Conley and Trevor Lee, attacked him before the match so he couldn't interfere, but so he couldn't stop him. No, they just didn't mention it. All right, so that's another detail they just conveniently forgot about. So, they double team Sanjay, and Trevor Lee wins the title, and he took a victory lap afterwards. That was pretty funny, and so that's the end of Sanjay's title reign, the one that he worked 15 years for. Talk about going out with a whimper instead of a bang, right? I feel bad for Sanjay, but he's got this backstage role now. You can only do so many things at once. I think it was probably for the best. God bless the guy, but he was having a lot of trouble connecting with the fans outside of India, and it really didn't seem like the writers were interested in pushing him that strongly. Like, the second he won the title, the focus shifted to other people. So, if they didn't see Sanjay as a guy they could really build a division around, then it was probably for the best that they took the title off him. And Trevor Lee has been distinguishing himself a lot lately. He's been showing a lot of character. He's been entertaining. Weird that happened after Shane Helms left, because Shane Helms was a big proponent of this guy, and it wasn't until Shane Helms left that Trevor Lee really started to shine as a personality. Go figure. All right, so Trevor Lee is your new champion. Okay, I'm cool with that. So does this mean that Desmond Xavier is going to finally show up again? Because we haven't seen him since he won the Super X Cup. Yeah, he won the Super X Cup and then he just disappeared for weeks. Kind of seems like we should have been seeing him every week since then to keep that momentum going. But maybe now would be the time to reinsert him in there and have him go after the X Division title like he said he would. So, we'll see. Next, for, once again, the only segment devoted to the Knockout Division we get, Taya Valkyrie makes her in-ring debut for a 90-second squash of Amber Nova. Basically just, here's Taya, here's her finisher, look at how awesome she is. And it accomplished that fine, and Taya looks like a great signing, and I will also give them a lot of props for her entrance music. That is a fucking epic-sounding track. When you hear that, you get the feeling like someone is coming to fuck your shit up. I don't know who did that, if it was Dale Oliver. That doesn't sound like something Dale Oliver would produce, because it actually sounds good. But whoever wrote it, props to you. That is a great track. So that's about it for the knockouts. And another very short segment for a division that is getting criminally overlooked right now, which, considering the knockout roster is the deepest and strongest it's been in a long time, is really distressing. I mean, nothing else even happens here. Rosemary didn't come out to follow up on what Taya did to her last week or anything. You had time for American Top Team to beat up Richard Justice, but you couldn't give the knockout division more than this? Pretty lame, guys. Pretty lame. And here's my question in regards to what the women actually are getting right now. Who are we supposed to be paying attention to in the knockout division at this moment in time? Because it seems to me like this division has no idea where it's going or what it wants to focus on. First, they're doing the Gail Kim retirement tour, and you think her chasing the title is going to be the primary angle in the division through Bound for Glory. Then all of a sudden, here's Taryn Terrell, and it looks like they're restarting the Gail Taryn feud. Then, before that even has a chance to get started, here comes Taya Valkyrie. And is she going to feud with Rosemary? It seemed like it last week, but then Rosemary never showed up here, never came out to get in Taya's face after Taya healed her the week before or anything. So who the hell knows? It doesn't even seem like the writers know. I mean, there's all this disparate stuff happening all at once. And since the knockout division only gets one segment a week, and not even a long segment most of the time, nothing gets focused on or followed up week to week the way it needs to be. So when things finally do happen, they don't matter the way they should because the writers didn't bother to keep the iron in the fire. Meanwhile, Sienna, the Knockouts champion, is becoming more and more of a non-factor. Rosemary's barely been seen in weeks. I'm not even sure who Gale is supposed to be feuding with anymore. And I have no clue what the plan for Bound for Glory is. And that's a problem, seeing as how Bound for Glory is only like 2 months away. Hang on. So anyway, after this, we got Johnny Impact versus Loki for the #1 contendership. A really good match, but knowing what we now know about how Loki left the company after these TV tapings, it's kind of hard to care that much. We all know Johnny Impact's going over. Supposedly Loki left on good terms. It was all amicable, and he said, hey, this was a good run, nothing but good things to say. But he's moving on again. All right. Nice that he didn't leave on bad terms or whatever, but he still left. So it's just really hard to get invested in anything he's doing now, because we know he's gone. It was the same thing when EY and Bobby Roode left, and we were stuck with weeks and weeks of TV with them being on the screen. It's like, I can't be forced to care about this anymore, you know? So Johnny Impact wins, and Eli Drake, he comes out, he distracts Johnny Impact, and then Chris Adonis attacks him from behind, and Eli hits the gravy train, and, just trying to build heat for that match. And, it's all pretty good stuff here, and really, this really should have been the main event segment. This is what they should have ended on with Eli Drake standing over Johnny Impact. I mean, love it or hate it, that is your world title feud. And that's what should be spotlighted. And I think I tend to think more people are going to care about this than anything involving American Top Team. Now, it is kind of weird that Johnny Impact is already getting a title shot, though. After Eli and Chris Adonis won that tag match a couple weeks ago, which stopped Johnny and Eddie Edwards from getting title matches, you'd think it would take a little more for him to get into the title picture, but no, he gets a title shot booked like 2 weeks later. So why even bother with that stipulation in the first place if you were just going to invalidate it so soon after, you know? It just feels like this is happening a little too quickly for my tastes. And so, finally, Lashley comes out for the main event, and he wastes time cutting a promo, telling us the exact same damn thing that they just spent 2 backstage pre-tapes spelling out for everybody, that he's leaving wrestling for MMA. Okay, well, if you're leaving because you're too good for pro wrestling now, why should I pay attention to you on this wrestling show? Why should I even keep watching this segment? These are questions that the writers should be asking themselves, but for some reason they don't bother to. So Moose comes out and they spend a few minutes brawling all over the place until, stop me if you've heard this one, American Top Team show up and start assaulting company employees again. Now, you would think that Jim Cornette would have been anticipating this, seeing as how they've been doing this exact thing for several weeks now, and in fact, did it twice already on this very show. But no, they just beat the shit out of Moose, and a couple security red shirts try to stop it, but they get taken out too. No one from the roster tries to get a piece of these assholes, not even James Storm, despite the fact that we've seen James Storm get into pull-apart arguments with them backstage like twice now, and that's how the show ends. And I'm not going to lie, the way this played out was pretty lame and pretty boring. The brawl itself with Moose and Lashley was cool, but the second Dan Lambert and his goon squad show up again, I just instantly checked out. Quite frankly, this American Top Team angle sucks. It's not connecting whatsoever. And even if it were, you're still making the biggest angle on the show going into Bound for Glory, a storyline about one of your top stars leaving the company. What is the payoff here? What is to be gained by doing this? What is it building to? What is Dan Lambert going to have a match at Bound for Glory or something? Who cares? No one gives a shit about this. MMA fans are going to think it's stupid, and pro wrestling fans are just wondering what this guy is doing here. It's Frank Trigg all over again. So why are you spending so much time on it? Oh, I forgot, because Dan Lambert and Jeff Jarrett are buddies. Well, ask a stupid question, right? For fuck's sake. Look, I'm not going to say that there was nothing good on this show, because that's not true. I am really excited about what Taya Valkyrie is going to do. The X Division title change was probably a good move. Kevin Sullivan is knocking it out of the fucking park with these video packages, and like I said, think about how to apply that style and that format to the rest of the show, and you could have something really big here. But the AAA stuff just feels shoehorned in and completely unnecessary. The Grado storyline is so bad, I feel embarrassed to be watching it, and the biggest angle on the show involves Bobby Lashley being coerced into leaving pro wrestling by a gym owner and some no-name MMA thugs that most of the fans don't know or even give a rat's ass about. That's why I took a line from Eli Drake and titled this video American Top Tiers. Because every time I see Dan Lambert on my screen, it makes me want to cry at all the screen time they're about to waste on him and his buddies. Screen time that could and should be devoted to somebody the audience actually likes. The writing and storytelling in general is pretty poor right now. You can't dismiss the low viewership as just being because of the hurricanes. Are the hurricanes one of the reasons for it? Yeah. But another reason, one that I feel is getting very much ignored by the people in charge, is that the writers are, in large part, phoning this show in. There's no attention to detail, and in a lot of cases, cronyism and ego continue to take priority over writing a compelling storyline. And that needs to stop. Oh, but don't worry, everyone, because in November, the new creative team, now spearheaded by John Gaburek, takes over. So, yay? Sound off in the comments. Fuck. Yeah, my voice is dying out, guys. What would you change about the current product? Get rid of American Top Team, give more screen time to the Knockouts, get some more tag teams. That's just off the top of my head. I mean, the Knockouts are completely underutilized right now. I mean, half the girls in the roster can't even get on TV. And honestly, I don't even know why they bothered signing so many new girls. I mean, if they're not even bothering to use them. I mean, you're giving your division one fucking segment a week. That's not enough to showcase all these people. Less Grado. Just get Grado off the fucking screen. Take Grado away, give his screen time to the Knockouts in the tag team division. Did they really need all the Grado stuff? No, they did not. All it did was take time away from Loki versus Johnny Impact, which should have been longer in my opinion. Yeah, number one contendership for the world title goes about, what was it, 7 minutes and change? I'm sick of this Grado stuff. It's boring as hell. Yeah, that would be putting it nicely. Garza Jr. could be a future star for this company. Agreed. I think the company agrees too. That's why he seems to be getting a singles push right now, which feels kind of ill-timed because his tag team with Laredo Kid could be, it's kind of needed in the tag team division right now. Not sure why they didn't do anything with that. I think those guys were really good together. What do you have against Finn Balor? His character, unlike Grado, has remained a likable babyface and is over. What do I have against Finn Balor? Well, I don't know if you've seen Schleg Daddy's videos when he talks about this, but him and I are of one mind on this. What do I have against Finn Balor? Well, take away his flashy entrance, and there's literally nothing that separates this guy from every other cruiserweight on the roster. Also, his mic skills suck. This guy's boring as hell on the microphone. And for some reason, they keep giving him a microphone. Why? I mean, they gave this guy the star treatment, and I just don't get it. He's kind of like the new John Morrison, where he's an admittedly good wrestler, but the only reason he comes off like a star in any way is because the marketing machine got behind him. He is a product of the marketing machine. Take away all that, and he's just another generic cruiserweight with no personality. And that's unfortunately how fucking John Morrison was for the bulk of his time in that company. Okay, a lot of hate for Josh Matthews in the storylines here. Thoughts on Cena's dad bashing Charlotte and Alexa? Yeah, I don't get it. His thoughts on Alexa Bliss? He says, oh, she's hot and she's got a look. That's it. That's it. Well, she's got better mic skills than almost anyone else in the Divas division right now. Probably the best mic skills of any diva on the main roster. That doesn't count for anything. I mean, there is a reason why they pushed her so much. Nobody likes Sasha Banks, so whatever. The looks and the body, that's about it. Dude, she's got mic skills for days. What the fuck are you talking about? Disagree with Cena Sr. on that one. You know, Charlotte's a little harder to defend, but Alexa Bliss, get out of here. She's good. Natalia's a great kid. Natalya has been largely irrelevant for years. I think the only reason they kept her on the main roster as long as they have is because, one, she's Bret Hart's niece, and two, she's on Total Divas. Yeah, I know she's the SmackDown Women's Champion right now, but I don't get it. I really don't. If she had a different last name, she'd be a trainer in NXT by now. Sasha's a great performer. You know what? Sasha probably is a great performer. I just don't like the character she performs. She's a terrible babyface. Completely insincere. I've never liked the character. Never. I think there's a talented person underneath all that, but they don't seem to have any interest in changing the character, the gimmick. Should WWE bring in Crazy Steve to capitalize on the It movie? It would make sense. It doesn't. I know he had a tryout. I think it doesn't appear as if he got signed. I'm kind of stunned that that Ed Nordholm and company haven't made an effort to bring Crazy Steve back. It's fucking free promotion. Draw some comparisons between bring back Crazy Steve, maybe Reform Decay. Draw some comparisons with Pennywise the Dancing Clown. It fucking writes itself. But no, we'd rather bring in that Pagano guy from AAA because AAA, you know, and it's because it's better than anything we're doing because it's AAA, and we're gonna give AAA people all the screen time that should be going to members of our own roster. The only one who didn't like the finish of False Count Anywhere came out of nowhere. Plus, where was Petey Williams? If he got taken out, they should have shown us that. Yeah, I agree. It didn't make any sense. Where was Petey? Why didn't he show up? Beats me. They could have easily explained that, but they didn't bother to. Okay, commentary did acknowledge that EC3 and Eddie Edwards are not friends. Okay, well, if they're not friends, then why was Eddie out there helping EC3? Does OVE remind you of the Motor City Machine Guns? No, they don't. I don't see why anyone would draw that comparison. Motor City Machine Guns were and are a lot better than OVE, I think. Thoughts on OTR Essential wanting Grado and Joseph Park to get married? That is one option. They could have entered into a business arrangement in order to get Grado a work visa. It does seem odd that it was never brought up or mentioned as a viable option. I'm not saying they had to do it, but the possibility was never put forth. And, that's just another plot hole in a storyline that's frankly full of plot holes. Let's see. I guess they thought having Rosemary, Allie, Taryn, Sienna, and Taya all in the same ring was too much, hence the lack of knockouts on this week's show. Well, they wouldn't have needed all of them in the same ring all at once. I think just having Taya and Rosemary would have been enough just to follow up on that storyline from last week. I mean, all they had was Taya squashing Amber Nova in like 90 seconds, and that's it. But they did this thing with her and Rosemary last week, and then this week they don't follow up on it. They don't even mention it. So is that a thing or not? Because if it's a storyline, if it's gonna be a feud, follow up on it the next fucking week. Because this is a big problem with the knockouts right now, where they do something and then we don't hear about it for like 3 weeks or a month or whatever, and then it comes back, and then we're supposed to and we're like, oh, that's still going on? Okay. Well, why haven't we seen it for the last month? I don't know. They have to follow these things. They have to have continuous progression every week. You don't have to, they don't need like 20-minute segments to do that. Sometimes all it takes is like a short backstage pre-tape to let us know that this thing still exists. But how much extra time would it have taken for Rosemary to just come out and stare Taya down or get in her face or throw a punch or something? But to not even have her appear? To not even mention that there was this interaction between them last week? It's like they're just shooting the story in the foot, if it even is a story, and I don't even know if it is right now. Boy, did they make Grado look like a manipulative ass. Boy, did they make the Grado looking like a manipulative asshole pointless. Yeah. That's why I say this whole story is tone deaf. Because it's like they don't even realize how much of a dick they've turned him into. As far as they're concerned, he's still just this lovable goofball. They don't even understand why what he did was a bad thing. That's what concerns me so much. Do you think the Grado Visa storyline is worse than the Claire Lynch storyline? Probably, yeah. Because at least the Claire Lynch storyline had bad influence as the saving grace, and you could tell they kind of knew it was horrible, and they were just having fun with how stupid it was. And but there's no such self-awareness in the Grado angle. No, they're just, it's awful, and it's awful, and they don't even realize it's awful. They're just plowing full steam ahead. Man, I doubt even bad influence could save this thing. Thoughts on Bound for Glory going to Canada? Anywhere that's not the Impact Zone is awesome. And Canada, well, they might be able to draw a crowd in Canada. They've got enough Canadian talent. I think Rosemary should be over as hell in Canada. So that's cool. Cool with me. With no top team, there maybe would be more TV time for the women. Yeah, right. More TV time for Grado and random wrestlers that aren't signed. Yeah, they'd probably have to get rid of all the AAA people and the Pro Wrestling Noah people and the Crash people and all. Yeah, there's a lot of people from other companies there right now. But American Top Team is the top angle, like it or not. So getting rid of that would free up a lot of screen time. Maybe enough for the knockouts to get more than like 2 minutes. Notice how Sienna was the focus when Gale wasn't there, and now that Gale is there, it's Sienna who? Yeah, even when Gale isn't there, suddenly Sienna's an afterthought. Ugh. I'm not putting that all on Gale, but it's like suddenly we're re-debuting Taryn, and then we're debuting Taya, and it's like, what is the focus supposed to be? Is it on Gale's retirement tour? Is it on Gale, going after one last title run? Is it on Gale going after Sienna, or is it on Gale feuding with Taryn, or is it on Taya and whatever she's doing? I don't know. They gotta fucking pick one. Have you ever watched Hocus Pocus? Yeah, when I was a little kid. Why do those people in the Impact Zone cheer or fear for Grado? Sadly, that JH Zilla answers your question. Sadly, they never see the backstage segments. I'd like to think that's why, because they're not seeing all the pre-tapes and the videos, so they're not really getting the proper context for things. So the people in the Impact Zone are cheering Grado, probably not knowing what he did to LVN, and not knowing that he treated her like trash, and not knowing what an opportunistic dickhead he is. I'd like to think that's why they're cheering for him, but God only knows at this point. Let's see. Felt sorry for Amber Nova. She got destroyed. Well, that is the purpose of jobbers. And as far as I know, she is not a contracted wrestler. She's just someone they bring in when they need a squash match. So she's doing her job by doing the job. I might agree with you if she was contracted, but I'm pretty sure she's not. Should American Top Team have beaten up Grado instead? That would have been nice. In your opinion, what's all the hate on Inhumans? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really judge. Feuds are so easy to do, but it's like they go out of their way to not to just have random stuff like ROH instead of building up fresh new feuds. Yeah. Yeah. Been feeling like this all year. I feel like the new regime don't care as much about the knockouts. I'm happy the X Division and Tag Divisions are better. I'm upset the way the knockouts are treated. Yeah. It's really confusing because you have Dutch Mantel and Scott D'Amore, the guys who pretty much created the knockout division, who are writing this, and yet the knockout screen time has been like fractionalized. I think this is after Dutch said, I think it was Dutch, said that they wanted to focus more on the knockouts, and instead the opposite has happened. So I don't know what's going on. My guess is that this was Jeff Jarrett's call to just not focus on the women. Maybe as another pot shot at Dixie Carter, because that was kind of her baby. That was something she was really proud of. So it could just be another ego thing. I don't know, but yeah, I agree. I'm not happy about it either. Especially when the current knockout roster is so good. And you get some really talented girls in there. Rosemary is one of the biggest breakout stars they've created in years. Allie is still super over. LBN is, even though I hate what they're doing with her, she sells it beautifully. She's showing what a talented character performer she is, and you got some really interesting new signings with Taya. Hanaya's athletic as hell. I don't know anything about Kira Hogan, but MJ Jenkins, another super athletic girl they're doing nothing with. It's like, well, why you have all these talented girls that they're just sitting backstage waiting to get used, and it never seems to happen. And when instead we get Richard Justice, an American Top Team. I'm the only one who thinks Eli Drake and Chris Adonis reminds me of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. Probably. The thing with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, the problem is both guys were talented. Both guys were entertaining. And with Eli Drake and Chris Adonis, one guy is entertaining and talented, and the other is Chris Adonis. Gail would rather put herself over. Don't be surprised if she wins in her final match. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of bracing myself for. I'd like to think that Gail would do the right thing for business and put somebody over on her way out, but history suggests that she may choose not to. I'm crossing my fingers that she'll do the right thing, though. All right, I gotta wrap this up pretty soon, guys. Holy shit. Finn Balor is good in the ring. Bad mic skills, great entrance, but that might be all he needs. Not for a top star. Top star can't have bad mic skills, or they at the very least need better mic skills than what Finn Balor's got. That guy is kind of dull as dirt on the mic. Isn't Rosemary injured? Not anymore. Rosemary is cleared to wrestle. Which one is better, the original or the new It movie? I actually never saw the original. I've seen parts of it. So I can't really judge. I do really like the new one, though. That is a really good movie. Why don't they pair up underused singles guys as tag teams? I don't know. Why don't they make more use of the tag teams they have? Reference Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid. Why aren't they doing more with those guys? Okay, you want to push Garza Jr. as a single star. I can get behind that. He's a future star. But you are in kind of dire need of tag teams right now, and you have a good one right here that you're not using. You know, it just... And also, you could do something with singles guys. Throw some of them together. I don't know why they're not doing it. Still not feeling the name Johnny Impact. Yeah. Okay. Did you see the Mae Young Classic? No, I haven't seen it. What women would you like to be signed by Impact? Off the Mae Young Classic, Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm. Do I think they'll sign any of them? Probably not. And they've got 4 women they're not even using right now. I mean, if they can't find anything for Alicia Edwards, MJ Jenkins, Kira Hogan, and Hanaya, then, well, they're not going to be signing any more people, I think. By not showing the backstage, perhaps the crowd's hurt, but that's the problem with 12 episodes and 6 days of tapings. Yeah. Thoughts on Asuka going to Raw? Makes sense. Probably should have happened a lot sooner. If Impact added some knockouts to that Global Forged thing, it would help get some of the lower level KO's screen time, and they could have Gail as a trainer after she retires. All right, what is Global Forged? I'm blanking on this. I still think they should like revamp Explosion into a viable second weekly show. I mean, there you could get your extra screen time. I'm not sure what this Global Forge thing is. Scott D'Amore isn't actually writing TV this time around. He only just started after Jeff Jarrett got sent home. I heard he was on the creative team before. Or he was one of the guys on the team that Jeff Jarrett that Jarrett made when he came back. That's what I heard anyway. Where am I? KM is so underrated. Agreed. Global Force is their version of Tough Enough. Oh, that thing, yeah. Well, shit, they're doing a reality show about developing a new star? Do they not have enough people already? Christ. Do another season of British Bootcamp if you were going to do that. They were only going to have one segment with the knockouts. Why not have all of them in it? Well, it could get cluttered if you tried to cram so many women into one thing. I'm not saying they have to feature all the knockouts at once, but make an effort to progress more than one storyline a week, because you got several of them right now. There's several different story threads that need to be addressed, but you're just letting several of them dangle so Taya can have a squash match. And yeah, this is one of those situations where a squash match works to introduce a new star, get over a finisher and stuff like that, but you also got whatever Gail is doing or whatever Rosemary is doing, and that kind of stuff needs to be addressed and talked about, but they're just ignoring it. And that's the problem. All right, and I guess that's it. Sorry, but my voice is starting to go again, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up here, guys. Sorry I couldn't get to everything, but sometimes the body just does not cooperate. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know when I'll be doing this next week. I don't know if I'll still be sick or if I might have to work. If I have to, maybe I just stay home again. I was supposed to work yesterday, but I told the guy, no, I can't. I'm sneezing and coughing and all congested and stuff. I'm just staying in. So we'll see. But thanks for watching. Thanks for all the comments and questions and everything. I really do appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys in a few days. Over. Out.